This is the single strand version of the bracelet that we're going to make. And this is the double strand version of the bracelet that we're also going to make. So let's talk about the materials we'll need. For the double bracelet, you're going to need about 40 to 50 rondelle crystals, 6x4 millimeter or 6x5 millimeter. You're also going to need 2 colors of 11/0 Toho seed beads. If you're making the single strand version of the bracelet, you're going to need about half as many of the 11/0 Toho seed beads in 2 colors, and about half as many of the rondelle crystals, between 20 to 24 of them. And you'll also need, for the single strand version of the bracelet, a clasp. The double strand uses a crystal as its clasp, so it doesn't need that. So let's get started. If I'm making the single strand version of the bracelet, I'm going to start with a size 10 beading needle and about 2.5 yards of 6-pound fire line. And I'm going to start with 3 11/0 Toho seed beads in the first color, 1 in the second color, 2 more in the first color, a clasp, and another first color Toho seed bead. If I'm making the double version of the bracelet, I just start with the same thing, except instead of this clasp, just add another Toho seed bead in the first color. And I'll string that on. I'm going to go back up through all of those beads to form a loop. And I can tie a knot. Now here, I want to find the 3 first color seed beads that are before the second color. And with my thread coming out at the base of those 3, I want to continue through those 3. 1, 2, and 3. Next, I put on 13 seed beads. The 5th and the 13th are the second color. So 4, 1, 7, 1. Adds up to 13. And I'm gonna, with my thread coming up out of those 3 seed beads that I went through before, I'm gonna go back through those the same 3 seed beads in the same direction. 1, 2, and 3. And that'll form a loop. I'll string on a crystal. And then I want to go up through the 3 seed beads that are before that second color seed bead. If I'm using one color, then I would be counting the 6th, 7th, and 8th seed bead, counting from the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then going through 6, 7, 8. Again, 13 seed beads, where the 5th and the 13th are the second color. And I want to go up through the last 3 seed beads that are before that second color seed bead to form a loop. I'll string on another crystal. And go up through the last 3 seed beads before the second color. And again, just to get the pattern down, we have 13 seed beads. The 5th and the 13th are the second color. And we go back up through the last 3 seed beads. form a loop. String on a crystal. And go up through the last 3 seed beads. So you want to continue this pattern till you have your desired length of bracelet. And I'll show you how to end this row and start the next embellishment row. Okay, I have finished the first row to my desired bracelet length, and now I'm going to finish off with a loop that the clasp can grab onto. So I'm going to put 7 seed beads on the needle, the last one being the second color. If I was making the double strand version of this, I would be only putting on 5 seed beads, the last one being the second color. But this is a single strand, so I'm going to put 7 seed beads on, and I'm going to go up through the last 3 seed beads, coming out the same place my thread's coming out. And before I reinforce that loop and go through it again, I'm just going to really quickly make sure that that loop is big enough for the clasp to go through, because it can depend on the type of clasp you have. So that looks big enough, so I'm going to go ahead and continue through the loop to reinforce it. Once I've gone through it a couple more times, I want to exit that second color seed bead on the bottom to start the next row. So I'm going to flip it over to start the embellishments on this side. I'm coming out of the second color, and I want to go through the next first color seed bead. It's the first of 4. Then I'll add 3 of the second color seed beads, go through the second color seed bead, and the next 5 seed beads. So I'm going in and coming out of a second color seed bead. I'll continue through the next first color seed bead, add 3 seed beads, go through the second color, and then through the next 5, coming out the next second color seed bead. Go through the next first color seed bead, add 3 second color seed beads, and go through the second color seed bead and the next 5. So I will continue that along this edge, and then I'll show you how to finish that side and start on the next side. Okay, I've almost completed the embellishments along this side. I've got 2 left. Last one's a little different, so I'll just, right now I'm coming out of that second color. I'm going to go through the next first color, add 3 seed beads of the second color, and go through that second seed bead and the next 5. So I'm coming out of the next second color seed bead. And this last embellishment is slightly different. I'm going to add a first color and 3 second color seed beads and string that on. And I want to go through the second color and the first color that I put on. Then I want to continue through this loop and kind of go around a couple of times. So I'll start through the seed bead before the clasp and through the clasp. Now just note here, if you're doing the second or the two strand version of this clasp would be a seed bead. So, but it's the same going around the loop to end this first side. So going through and around. Until I end coming out of that second color. Now I'm going to turn my piece around so I can start doing the same embellishment along this side. So I'm coming out of the second color, I go through the next first color, add 3 seed beads of the second color, go through the second color and the next 5 seed beads, so that I'm coming out the next second color. Again, go through the next first color, add 3 seed beads of the second color, go through the second color, and the next 5. Going through the next, add 3 seed beads, go through that second color and the next 5, coming out the next second color, and so on. So continue that along the other side until you've come to the end. And then I'll show you how to finish it off. Again, I've almost finished the embellishments along this side. I have 2 left, and the last one's a little different. So I'm gonna, coming out of this second color seed bead, I'm gonna go through the next one, add 3 seed beads of the second color, go through the second color, and the next 5 seed beads coming out the next second color. And like the other side, the end of the other side, this last embellishment's a little different. You have a first color seed bead and 3 second color seed beads, and I will string that on. Then I want to go through the second color and that first color I strung on. Then I want to go through this loop to reinforce it before I tie it off to finish it. This loop is slightly bigger for the single strand than it is for the double strand, or the first half of the double strand version. But I'm going to go ahead and continue through this loop and follow it around. Continue around. Go around one more time. And here's where I can tie a knot. So I'm going to put my needle underneath between the 2 seed beads here and go through the loop once, putting that loop between those 2 seed beads. Gone through the loop once, I'll go through it one more time. and tie a knot. So for this single strand, this is finished. We just need to snip the ends, and so now the clasp can go right through that loop. So I'll snip the ends here. I've snipped both ends, and this is the finished version of the single strand bracelet. Now I'll show you how to finish off the second version, which is the double strand. Okay, so for the two-strand version of the bracelet, I have completed the first half, which is just like the single strand version, except that there's no clasp and both of the ends are identical. They have the same number of beads. So I'm going to start the second half of the bracelet, and I'll make the first row of that before I start attaching it to the first piece. So like I started this piece, I'm going to start with 8 seed beads. The fourth one is the second color. And I'll string that on and go back through those beads to form a loop. That's where I can tie a knot. With my thread here, coming out here, I want to go through the 3 seed beads that are before that second color seed bead. I'll add 13 seed beads. The 5th and the 13th are the second color. Go back up through those same 3 seed beads. I'll string on another crystal. And go up through the last 3 seed beads that before that second color. Or if you're counting, it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th seed bead from this side. Again, 13 seed beads. The 5th and the 13th are the second color. And I want to go up through the last 3 seed beads. String on another crystal. And then go up through the last 3 seed beads before the second color. And I want to continue this to be the same length, same number of crystals as this first piece. And when I get to the other end, I'll end it and start the embellishments that connect to this first piece. So continue on till you have a second piece that's the same length and same number of crystals as the first piece. Okay, I've made the second strand with the same number of crystals, same length as the first piece. And I'm going to finish off by adding 5 seed beads, 4 of the first color and 1 of the second color. And I'm going to go up through the last 3 seed beads that are before the second color. And I will continue through that loop I just added until I'm coming out of the second color. There. Now I'm ready to start the embellishment on this side while connecting it to the first strand. So when I put the first strand next to it, what I want to make sure is that they are, this one's slanting this way, that one's slanting that way. So it's kind of arranged like that. So not like parallel, where the slant is going the same direction. You want them going the different direction. So this one's slanting up, this one's slanting down. So now that the slants are going the right way, I'm almost ready to start this first embellishment to connect to this embellishment. But I'm coming out of the second color, so I first need to go through the next first color seed bead. Then I can add a second color seed bead and go down through the tip of the embellishment from the first piece. I can add one more second color seed bead and then go up through this second color seed bead and through the next 5 seed beads, so I'm coming out of the next second color seed bead. And when I pull that close, that connects those 2 embellishments. Again, I have to start by going through the next first color seed bead, I add a second color seed bead and go down through the tip of the embellishment on the first piece, add another seed bead of the second color, and go up through the second color seed bead and the next 5. There I'm going through the next 4, so I have to kind of go through that last second color seed bead. Again, go through the next first color, add a second color seed bead, go down through the tip of the other embellishment, add another second color seed bead, and then I go up through the second color seed bead and the next 5 if I can. There I'm going through 4, so I'll have to go through the next one. And then start again going through the next first color seed bead to get ready to connect the next embellishment. So you just continue that, connecting, kind of zipping up to the first piece, connecting them together as you go along this side, and then we'll show you what to do next. Okay, I've continued connecting the 2 strands together, and there are 2 more connections to make. I'm coming out of the second color seed bead, so I'll go through the next first color seed bead, add a second color seed bead, go down through the tip, add a seed bead, and go up, starting with the second color seed bead and the next 5. This last embellishment is a little bit different. I'll add a first color seed bead and a second color seed bead. And I'm going to go down through the tip of this embellishment, this last one. I'm going to add another second color seed bead, and I'm going to go up through the second color and the first color on the other side. Now I'm going to continue through this loop back around. Continuing around the loop. And here is where I am going to go down through this second color seed bead, across the next one, so I can go up the middle. Next, I'm going to put 2 seed beads, the crystal, and another seed bead on. You can use either of the 2 colors that you want. I'm using the second color. String that on. And I want to go back down through the crystal, the 2 that I put on, and back down through that middle seed bead again. Now this creates the toggle for the clasp. There'll be a loop that this goes through on the other side. Okay, now that I'm coming down out of the middle seed bead here, I'm going to continue left through the next one, and then up through the next second color seed bead and the next first color seed bead. I'm going to continue around the loop until I'm coming out of the next second color. Kind of flip it around to continue, and now I'm coming out of the second color. And this lets me start the embellishment on the last side. So I always start by going through the next first color seed bead, add 3 of the second color seed beads, and go through the second color seed bead plus the next 5. And I will just continue that all along the rest of this side, and then I'll show you how to end it. Okay, I'm on my last 2 embellishments. I am coming out of the second color, so I'll continue through the next first color. Add 3 of the second color, and go through the second color, and the next 5 seed beads. So I'm coming out of the next second color. The last embellishment's a little different. We do 1 of the first color and 3 of the second color seed beads. And we string that on. Then we go through the second color seed bead and the first color seed bead. And then we continue through the top of this loop. Coming down out of this second color seed bead, I'm going to continue through this seed bead next to it and up the one in the middle. Now here's where you're going to make a loop. I'm going to first start by going left through this seed bead and going to go make a loop going back into this seed bead. Now you need the loop to be just barely big enough for the crystal on the other side to go through it, but not too big to where it'll slip out. So I find that 10 or 11 seed beads is about right for that, but you can test it before you commit. So I've got about 11 seed beads here, and I'm coming left out of that second color seed bead of the embellishment, and I'm going to go back around to this seed bead of the other embellishment to create that loop. Now, before I keep going to lock it in, I'm going to just test it real quick that it's, while I'm pulling this tight, just make sure I can get and it seems to be just big enough for the crystal. I'm pulling it tight here just to make sure that it's not going to slip out, and it looks about the right size. I could try 10 there, but I'm just going to leave it at 11. I'm going to continue down through that middle seed bead. I'm going to add 1 seed bead and go back up through that middle. And I'm going to go back around the loop just to reinforce it. Make sure it's tight. And once I've gone through that, I'm gonna go back down through that middle one more time, plus the one I added. Back up through that middle. And around the loop one more time. And once I'm at the bottom of the loop, it's good and tight, I'm going to tie a knot here. And pull. There. I can snip all the ends, and I have a working clasp here. Made from the crystal. If you want, you can use a bigger crystal here for the clasp if you have it, and but it might require a bigger loop. But it does work with just the same crystal as the rest of the bracelet. So I will go ahead and snip the ends. Okay, I have snipped both ends, and now we have a working clasp here. That's the finished bracelet.